Hey everybody, in this week's episode, I want to talk about what you could theoretically earn working as a registered or clinical psychologist running your own business in Australia. For a little bit of context, my mom is a clinical psychologist and she has her own business, so I got a lot of insight from her for making this video, along with my own research. We'll start off by talking about what you could theoretically charge per session, then we'll delve into the costs of running a business, and then we'll look at a scenario of what one could earn hypothetically running their own business, as well as some other things to consider. I hope that this video is helpful and let's get into it. Okay, so let's begin by looking at what a psychologist could charge per session. From 2023 to 2024, the Australian Psychological Society increased their recommended fee to $300 for a 46 to a 60-minute therapy session. However, they also said that this is just a guideline. If a session was $300, then a client seeing a clinical psychologist would need to pay $163.65 for a session, and clients seeing a registered psychologist would need to pay $207.10 for a session. So as a side note, you can see why registered psychologists are more likely to reduce their fee in order to stay competitive. Let's also keep in mind that this is just the APS recommendation. Psychologists may be inclined to charge more or even charge less. It depends on so many things, like who's the competition and who's the clientele in their local area. It's a business, so it does need to stay competitive. For the sake of simplicity, let's stick with $300 per therapy session for when we get up to part 3 of this video. Okay, now let's look at some of the costs that you have to pay as a psychologist running your own business. The first thing to keep in mind is that you don't get paid any holiday leave or sick leave or for any of the admin that you do in your free time for a client, and it can mount up to being quite a lot. It could include things like session planning, session notes, writing letters or reports, answering emails, sending texts, supervision, and personal development. There are a lot of things that psychologists do behind the scenes that they don't get paid for running their own business. Mind you, AI is on the rise, and that can only help make some of our processes a bit easier, so it's good to keep that in mind as well. In addition, if you're seeing a client in person, then you're going to need to pay rent for a space to see them. Costs can really vary depending on where you live and the frequency that you use the room. I'm not going to disclose my mom's location, but I am going to share that she pays $100 for the room that she rents as part of a private practice. This cost also includes access to a printer/photocopying machine and a reception team that book in her clients and new referrals from GPs. A lot of psychologists also use Galaxy for all their online admin like bookings, managing a calendar, conducting telehealth sessions, which is completely free to use. However, you do have to pay for what they call add-ons, which are really helpful, and a lot of people do pay for them to save the trouble of doing it themselves. These add-ons include text reminders, processing Medicare rebates, sending secure emails, and a processing fee for the payment. If we use all 4 of those add-ons for one client in one session, that would come to a total of $1.50. Finally, there's all those other little costs to consider. Things like paper and stationery, a website fee, membership and registration fees, supervision and personal development fees, insurance, maybe even advertising. You also need to buy things for work, obviously, like a computer, maybe even a tablet, a work phone. I'm pretty sure that that covers most of the costs, but please do leave comments down below if you think that I've missed anything. Okay, so we've looked at what you can earn as a psychologist. We've also looked at the costs. Now let's talk about how much you could earn per year working as a psychologist theoretically. To paint a hypothetical scenario, let's say you're running your own business, you see 5 clients a day for 4 days a week. 2 days are spent in the office and you do 2 days of telehealth. You also allow yourself to have 8 weeks off per year. So you're only working for 4 days of the week for 44 weeks per year. And like I said in part 1, you're charging $300 per session. All of this in mind, before expenses and tax, this would bring your annual salary to $264,000 per year. But now let's also consider the costs. Hypothetically, the cost of your room per year would come to $8,800. The cost of Galaxy, let's say that you use all of the add-ons for all of your clients per session, would come to $1,320. Then there's the other costs, which of course can all really vary. Registration will definitely cost $415 per year, and membership with the APS will cost $745. As rough estimates, let's say that insurance costs $1,500 per year. The website website maintenance and support costs $1,000, advertising is $1,000, and stationery is $1,000. Then let's estimate that supervision and personal development costs about $5,000 annually. And the total cost of all of the expenses that I've mentioned comes to $20,780 per year. Before tax, that would bring your salary down to $220,000. So yeah, that is a lot of money, but some things really important to keep in mind. Earning that amount of money will put you in the highest tax bracket, and you might not want to be there because of the extra tax that will be deducted. You've also got to take into account that clients might cancel or not show up to their sessions. They might even avoid paying you, which can unlikely to happen, but it can. There's also ethical considerations. For example, if you've been seeing a client for a long time and for some reason they can no longer pay you, ethically, you need to reduce your fee for them because you still have a duty of care. The thing that makes psychology unique as a business is that it's not just about the money, it's also about compassion and care for our clients. Another example is that sometimes my mom, a clinical psychologist, will on occasion bulk bill her clients who are going through exceptional circumstances. And look, I'm also not saying that psychologists don't deserve to be paid well, because we work really hard to get into this profession and it is a hard job. At the same time though, operating a business in psychology is a dance between having compassion for people as well as making a living. It's not just about financial gain, and I think it's really important to understand that. So these are just some things to consider. Overall, this video demonstrates that psychologists working in Australia running their own business are compensated really well, where both the client and the psychologist benefit because of the government's assistance in paying a Medicare rebate. It's also an extremely rewarding and flexible career. Every day I go into my job excited. I absolutely love working in this profession. And if you want to learn more about what this is like, please go check out my channel where I've got lots of other videos about the benefits, also some of the cons of working as a psychologist, what the day-to-day life looks like. Alongside that, I have tons of resources in my YouTube videos, so definitely find them, use them to your advantage. And if you like, also come and find me on my Instagram platform where I go by Psychology and Kate and I share everyday life on the job. I really hope that this video in particular was helpful to students. Have a lovely week and hopefully I will see you in another video. Bye!